Have you ever been locked into a role? I have, literally. And it wasn't in a jail. It was in my own house, by the man who swore to love me. It was Thursday night, October. The cold wind was hitting the window of the back room. The house was full of people. Excited voices came from the kitchen. Laughter, the clatter of dishes and cutlery, the smell of baked lasagna mixed with red wine. It was my sister-in-law's birthday, 45 years old. The table set with her grandmother's china, the one with white porcelain with blue flowers, fabric napkins folded like swans, lit candles, soft music in the background, that playlist she always puts on when she wants to impress. And me? I was in the back room, with my mother-in-law, 82 years old, coughing dryly, feverish, asking for water every 5 minutes, complaining about the pillow, about the room temperature, about the party noise. She had arrived at home 8 days ago, a flu that started simple and got worse, a runny nose that turned into sinusitis that went down to the chest, a chest that wheezed all night. The doctor said that it was better not to leave her alone, an elderly person, weakened immune system. It could be dangerous, and who was going to take care of her? Obviously, it was me. My husband worked from 7 in the morning to 7 at night. Civil engineer, construction sites to supervise, important meetings, couldn't miss them. The eldest son lived in São Paulo, married, 2 small children, wife pregnant with the third, complicated to come here. The middle daughter had just opened a practice, nutritionist, busy schedule, clients couldn't wait. The youngest was finishing college, full-time, mandatory internship, thesis to submit. My sister-in-law worked part-time at a clothing store, but she also had her kids, and her husband who traveled a lot. Everyone had a life, an excuse, a reason not to be able to. Everyone except me. I had dropped out of college to get married. I never went back to work after the children were born. I was always available, always at home, always ready to solve the family's problems. And I solved them, always solved them. In the first few days, I even thought it would be easy. My mother-in-law had always been polite to me, a little cold, but polite. She never disrespected me in front of others, never made a scene, but illness changes people. She would wake up in the middle of the night screaming that she was thirsty. I would get up, fetch water. She would complain that it was too cold. I would warm it up a bit. It would become too warm. I would add ice. It would become too sweet. I would remove the sugar. It would become bitter. In the morning, she wanted porridge, but not just any porridge. It had to be made with whole milk, low heat. Stir constantly so it wouldn't lump. Powdered cinnamon, not stick. Brown sugar, not white. When I finished making it, she would say she wasn't hungry. In the afternoon, she wanted soup, but light soup. No salt, no fat, only vegetables, well cooked, well blended, but it couldn't be too liquid, nor too thick. I would make it, remake it, adjust it. When it was just right, she would say that soup gave her heartburn. In the evening, she wanted tea, but warm tea, at the right temperature, not boiling, not lukewarm, with honey, but not just any honey. It had to be organic, which cost twice as much. And if I took too long to bring it, she would ring the bell my husband had installed by her bed, ding dong, until I appeared. During those 8 days, I didn't sleep through a single night, always waking up for something, her cough, moaning, the bell. I didn't have a single peaceful meal, always some interruption, some urgent need, some medication due at a specific time. I couldn't take a long shower, always rushing, always hearing her call, always afraid something might happen. And no one in the family asked how I was, if I was tired, if I needed help. It was as if it were my natural obligation, as if I was born for this. My husband would come home from work and go straight to see his mother. He asked how she had spent the day, whether she had taken her medications, whether she had eaten well. To me, he only asked if there was anything different for dinner. The other children called every day. They talked to her. They asked if she was getting better, if she needed anything. With me, they barely said hello. It was as if I were invisible. I only appeared when there was something to do. And I did it. I always did it. Because I thought that was what a good wife should do. A good daughter-in-law. A good person. Until that Thursday. The day had been particularly difficult. The mother-in-law woke up in a bad mood. She complained about the coffee, the room temperature, the noise from the street. In the morning, she wanted me to call the doctor because she was feeling back pain. I called. The doctor said it was normal. Lying down too much causes that. She didn't like the answer. Wanted a second opinion. I called another doctor. Same answer. In the afternoon, she wanted me to go to the pharmacy to get a cream for the pain. I went. Came back. She said it wasn't that brand. It was another one. More expensive. I went back to the pharmacy. Got the right cream. When I arrived, she said she had changed her mind. Wanted a pill, not a cream. And so it went all day. When evening came, I was exhausted, physically and mentally. I felt like I was going to faint at any moment. That's when my husband came with the news. Love, today is Claudia's birthday. She invited us to dinner here at home. It will be just the family. Nothing too elaborate. I looked at him without understanding. Here at home? Today? Yes. She already bought everything. Ready-made lasagna. Just heat it up. Wine. Dessert. It will be easy. Easy for whom? And your mother? Won't she want to participate? No, she is still very weak. Better to stay in the room. Quieter. So that was it. The mother-in-law would stay in the room. Quiet. And I would stay with her while they celebrated. But at that moment, I still had hope. I still thought I would be invited to the table. The family was slowly arriving. The sister-in-law with bags of food. The brothers-in-law with the kids. Everyone excited. Everyone happy. I helped set the table. Heated the lasagna. Opened the wine. Prepared the salad. The mother-in-law was napping. The first peaceful moment of the day. I thought I could take advantage. Sit with the family. Chat for a bit. Laugh at my brother-in-law's jokes. Listen to the children's stories. Be a person again. I went to the bathroom. Fixed myself up a bit. Put on some lipstick. Combed my hair. Changed my blouse. When I returned, everyone was already seated. The table looked beautiful. Candles lit. Plates served. Glasses full. I looked for an empty chair. There was one in the corner, between the wall and the youngest sister-in-law. I started approaching it, already pulling the chair. That's when my husband got up. Honey, Mom woke up. She's calling for you. I stopped mid-motion, chair half pulled, everyone watching. I just checked on her. She was sleeping, but now she's awake. And you know how agitated she gets when there's no one around. I looked at the table, at the hot food steaming on the plates, at the family's excited faces, at the red wine glistening in the glasses. Can't it be just a minute? I haven't even sat down yet. Love, you know she needs you. We understand. When she gets better, we'll have another dinner. Just us. Everyone nodded in agreement. Of course they agreed. It was convenient for them. The sister-in-law even said, "Don't worry, sis. We'll save you a plate. You can heat it up in the microwave later." Microwave, of course, because the caregiver's place is always leftover, always after, always in the microwave. I went to the hallway, slowly, dragging my feet. I opened the bedroom door. My mother-in-law was awake, but calm. Looking at the window. "Mrs. Rosa, did you say you were calling for me?" "Oh, yes. I wanted a glass of water." I went to the kitchen, passed by the table. Everyone was chatting cheerfully, laughing, happy. No one looked at me. I returned with the water. My mother-in-law took a sip. 2. Here you go, Mrs. Rosa. Do you need anything else? No, dear, thank you. I went to the door, pulled the handle. It didn't open. I pulled again, shook it. Nothing. The door was locked. From the outside, I felt a tightness in my chest, a dizziness, as if the world had stopped spinning. My husband had locked me in the room, literally locked, with his sick mother, while having dinner with the family, at my table, in my house, with my food. I knocked on the door, slowly at first, then harder. No one heard, or pretended not to hear. From the kitchen came the laughter, the sound of cutlery, the clinking of glasses. Dear, what's wrong? My mother-in-law asked. I couldn't answer. I stood there, looking at the door, trying to process what was happening. I was locked up as if I were a child, a worker, a thing, not a person, not a woman, not someone who deserved to sit at her own table. I sat on the chair beside the bed, heavy, as if carrying the world on my shoulders, and it was there, at that moment, that everything became clear. I was not a wife. I was a maid. I was not a daughter-in-law. I was a caregiver. I was not part of the family. I was an employee, without a salary, without days off, without rights, but with all the obligations. My mother-in-law fell back asleep. The room grew silent. Only the sound of the distant party could be heard. And there, in that silence, I began to remember when it all started. At the beginning of our marriage, I participated in everything, gave my opinion on matters, told stories, made jokes, had a voice. But little by little, I was pushed to the kitchen, to the children's room, to the background. There was always something for me to do, some problem to solve, some need to attend to, and I attended to it, always attended to it. When the children were little, I would wake up in the middle of the night, change diapers, give them bottles, stand up rocking them in my arms until they fell asleep. My husband slept. Work the next day. He needed to rest. When the children got sick, I would stay up all night, measuring fever, giving medicine, rushing to the hospital. My husband would go to work as usual. I would stay home, even when I was exhausted. When there was a meeting at school, I went. When there was a party, I organized it. When there was a problem, I solved it. Always me. And when they asked about my husband, I always made an excuse. Work, travel, important meeting. Because that's what a good wife did. Covered, protected, facilitated. When the children grew up, I thought I would have more time for myself, that I would be able to go back to school, work, have a life of my own. But then the grandchildren came, the in-laws who grew older, the siblings-in-law who got divorced and needed support. Always something, always someone needing me, and I was always available, always willing, always useful, because that's what defined me, usefulness. I wasn't seen for who I was, but for what I did, and I did it well. I did it with love. I did it thinking that I would be loved back in return. But love is not that. Love doesn't nullify you, doesn't erase you, doesn't lock you in a room. Love sees you, hears you, invites you to the table. Sitting in that chair, looking at my mother-in-law sleeping, I understood something. I had built that prison, brick by brick, acceptance by acceptance. Every time I said yes when I wanted to say no. Every time I took care when I wanted to rest. Every time I nullified myself to be useful. Every time I accepted scraps when I deserved the whole plate. I had become a prisoner of my own goodness, and now I was literally locked in. But do you know what happens when you are alone with your thoughts? When silence forces you to truly listen to yourself, you discover who you really are, beneath the mother, beneath the wife, beneath the caregiver. And I discovered that I was a woman, with her own desires, with hidden dreams, with the right to sit at her own table, a woman who had forgotten about this, but who was still there, waiting to be seen, to be heard, to be invited. I heard footsteps in the hallway, the key turning in the lock. My husband came in, smiling, satisfied, holding a small plate. "Here, honey, I brought some lasagna for you. It's still warm." I looked at him, really looked, as if it were the first time, and for the first time in years, I said no. "I don't want it." He laughed. He thought I was joking. "What do you mean you don't want it? You love lasagna." "I want to sit at the table, with the family, like a person." "But honey, you know that Mom is sleeping. And even if she were awake, I don't have to stay locked up here." The word came out louder than I expected. Locked. He was embarrassed. "I didn't lock you up. I just closed the door so it wouldn't be noisy." "Yes, you did. From the outside. As if I were an animal." "Don't exaggerate. It was just for what? So I wouldn't disrupt dinner? So my presence wouldn't be a nuisance?" He didn't respond, because there was no answer. I got up from the chair, walked past him, left the room, went to the kitchen. The table was still set, leftovers on the plates, loud laughter, everyone cheerful. When they saw me, the mood changed, a bit awkward. "Hi, sister-in-law. How's Mom?" My sister-in-law asked. "Sleeping, and I came to have dinner." I pulled out a chair, sat down, served myself, everyone not really knowing what to do, what to say. But I ate, slowly, savoring every bite. It wasn't just lasagna, it was dignity. It wasn't just wine, it was freedom. It wasn't just dessert, it was existence. The conversation slowly started to pick up again, but it was different, more tense, as if they were afraid to say something wrong, and maybe they truly were, because something had changed. In me, in that room. It wasn't a loud revolution. I didn't shout. I didn't break anything. I didn't cause a scene. It was a silent revolution. Internal. I simply remembered that I existed, that I had rights, that I deserved respect, that I wasn't an employee of the family. I was part of it, and if they didn't treat me as part of it, maybe it was time to rethink my place there. After dinner, everyone left. The house was silent again. My husband came to talk to me. He tried to explain. He said it wasn't meant to be harmful, that he was just thinking about his mother. And about me? Did you think about me? He didn't respond, because he never did. I was always there, always available, always solving problems, like a piece of furniture that you only notice when it breaks. In the following days, things changed, slowly, but they changed. When my mother-in-law called me in the middle of the night, I no longer automatically got up. I woke up my husband too. "Your mother is calling, but can't you go?" "I can, but I'm not going. Tonight, it's your turn." In the morning, when she wanted special porridge, I made regular porridge, the way I knew how. If she didn't like it, she didn't have to eat it. In the afternoon, when she wanted blended soup, I made soup with chunks, more nutritious, easier for me. And when my husband complained, I said, "If it's not good, you do it better." He was irritated at first. He said I was being selfish, insensitive. But I wasn't being selfish. I was being human. I was remembering that I also mattered, that I also had needs, that I also deserved care. My sister-in-law called the next day. She said she had heard I was a bit stressed. She asked if I wanted her to stay with the mother-in-law for a few hours. A few hours. After 8 days. "No need, sister-in-law. Your brother is already learning to take care of his own mother." "What do you mean?" "Exactly that. He brought her here. He should take responsibility." She was a bit embarrassed. She changed the subject. She hung up. But at the end of the day, She showed up at my house with a shopping bag, saying that she was going to make a special soup for Mom. I stayed in the living room, watching TV, listening to her running around, figuring out where things were, how mother-in-law liked her food, what medicines she was taking, things that I knew by heart, but that she was just discovering now. When she left, she was sweaty, tired, a bit irritated. Wow, sister-in-law, I didn't know it was so much work. Mom is really demanding. I smiled, said nothing, but inside I thought, now you know. The son from Sao Paulo called at the end of the week, worried, said that Mom had complained that I was different, colder, less attentive. Is it true, sister-in-law? True what? That you're mistreating Mom. I took a deep breath. I counted to 10. I'm not mistreating her. I'm treating her like a person, not like a servant. But she's sick. She needs special care, and I've been giving it, within what's possible, within what's human. What do you mean? Exactly that. I'm human too. I also get tired. I also need to sleep, eat, rest. He had no reply, as if he had never thought of that, as if I were a machine that didn't need maintenance. The conversation ended a bit strange, but I didn't care. For the first time in years, I had spoken what I felt, and it had been liberating. In the following days, the whole family mobilized. Suddenly, everyone could help. Everyone had time. The sister-in-law started coming every day. In the morning, stayed for a few hours. The youngest son started spending some nights at our house to share the care. The middle daughter hired a nurse to stay part-time, and my husband had to learn to take care of his own mother, waking up at dawn when she called, giving the medicine at the right times, making the food the way she liked. At first he complained, said I was being vengeful, cruel, but I wasn't being vengeful. I was being fair. I was dividing a responsibility that had always been mine, but that should never have been only mine, because she wasn't just my mother-in-law. She was his mother, the grandmother of his children, the sister-in-law of his wife. Why did I have to take care of her alone? Why did I have to give up my life? Why did I have to erase myself? The answer was simple, because I allowed it. Because I believed that's what a woman did. She sacrificed herself, erased herself, gave herself entirely, because I thought love was like that. To serve without questioning, to give without receiving, to exist for the other. But love isn't like that. True love doesn't diminish you. It enhances you. It doesn't erase you. It highlights you. It doesn't lock you in a room. It invites you to the table. The mother-in-law stayed another week at home, but she was no longer just my problem. She was the problem of the whole family, as it should always have been. And you know what I discovered? When the responsibility was shared, everyone took better care, including me. Because when you're not overwhelmed, you have more patience, more affection, more energy to give. When you are respected, you respect in return. When you are seen, you see better. On her last day at home, the mother-in-law called me to talk. Daughter, you are different. Different how, Mrs. Rosa? More firm, more yourself. I was surprised. I didn't expect her to notice. You think it's a bad thing? She thought for a bit, looked out the window, sighed. At first, yes. I was used to you always being available, always there. And now? Now, I think you were right. I was being selfish, too dependent. You weren't being selfish. You were sick, in need of care, but not just for her care. It was my children's responsibility too, and I let you carry it all by yourself. It was the first time someone in the family acknowledged that. The first time someone saw me as a person, not as a function. Thank you for saying that, Mrs. Rosa. You have always been a good daughter-in-law, my dear, but now you are a true daughter-in-law, one who respects herself, and because of that, you deserve to be respected. When she left on Sunday morning, The whole family was there to say goodbye. She had improved a lot. She was lively, talking, laughing at her grandson's jokes. Because when everyone takes care, the care becomes lighter, more loving, more efficient. After she left, the house was silent, but it was a different kind of silence, not of emptiness, but of possibility. My husband came to talk to me, serious, somewhat embarrassed. I need to apologize. For what? For locking you in that room, for excluding you from dinner, for treating you like an employee. Why did you do that? He thought before answering. Because I was used to it. Because it was easier. Because you always handled everything without complaining. And that gave you the right to lock me up? No, it never gave me that right. It was cowardly. It was cruel. It was. We stayed silent for a while, processing, understanding. What happens now? He asked. Now you learn to see me, to listen to me, to invite me to the table. And if I can't, then you'll lose the only person who truly cares about you and about your family. It wasn't a threat. It was a statement. Because I had discovered something that week. I didn't need them. They needed me. And when you discover your worth, you no longer accept just any treatment. You demand what you deserve. In the months that followed, a lot of things changed. Slowly, but they changed. My husband started asking my opinion on things, including me in decisions, sharing household responsibilities. The children started calling me more, not only when they needed something, but to see how I was, to share news, to chat. The daughters-in-law started to see me differently, with more respect, as an equal, not as the aunt who handles everything. And me? I went back to studying. I enrolled in an online course, digital marketing. I always had curiosity. I opened an Instagram account. I started posting about plants, decoration, recipes, things I liked. I gained some followers. Some people interested in what I had to say, because I had things to say. I always did, just no one asked. I started going out more, cinema with friends, lunch out, painting class in the park, simple things. But that made me remember that I existed beyond my roles. And you know what the best change was? When we sit down for dinner, my husband asks, "So honey, how was your day?" And he listens to the answer, truly, comments, asks more questions, as if what I did mattered, as if I mattered, because I do. I always have. I just forgot for a while. Today, when the family gathers, I sit at the table. From the beginning, I participate in the conversations. I give my input. I laugh at the jokes. And no one tells me to take care of anyone. Because everyone takes care of everyone, as it should be in a real family. Of course, there are still difficult days. There are still people who think I've changed for the worse, that I've become selfish, too independent. But I don't care, because selfishness is taking care of yourself after a lifetime of caring for others. Independence is not needing anyone's permission to exist. And if that bothers someone, it's their problem, not mine. Last week, my mother-in-law fell ill again. Nothing serious, but needed to stay in the hospital for a few days. Guess who they called first? That's right, me, sister-in-law. Can you stay with Mom? You understand these things better. I took a deep breath, smiled. I can, but not alone. We'll make a schedule. Everyone will participate. But sister-in-law? No buts. It's this way or nothing. And that's how it was. Each child took a part of the day. Each daughter-in-law took turns at night. Each grandchild brought a different meal. And me? I took my part. I did my duty, but I didn't give up my life. I didn't miss another dinner, another conversation, another moment with people I love and who love me back. Because I learned something fundamental. You teach people how to treat you. If you allow yourself to be locked in, they will lock you in. If you allow yourself to be excluded, they will exclude you. If you allow yourself to be seen only as a function, they will use you just for that. But if you respect yourself, you demand respect. If you value yourself, they value you. If you see yourself as a person, they treat you as a person. The key was always in my hand. I just forgot how to use it, but I'll never forget again. Because no one deserves to be a prisoner of their own kindness. No one deserves to be loved only for what they do. They deserve to be loved for who they are. And you who are listening to me now, if you've ever felt locked in a role, an obligation, a life you didn't choose, know that the key is also in your hand. You just need the courage to turn it, even if the door creaks, even if it makes noise, even if some don't like it, because freedom makes noise indeed, and it's worth every decibel. You weren't born to be the caretaker of others' dreams. You were born to live your own, and it's never too late to start. If this video moved you, the next one will move you even more. Click here and continue with me.